So obviously we have to move towards this inevitable argument about brain sizes, and the best context for that is to again compare Neanderthals to modern humans, not having fully defined what modern means, but we'll see in a minute some of the proposed arguments for defining us as modern. So if you look at the fall of Neanderthals and the rise of modern humans, of course the longest running debate is why did Neanderthals go extinct? Their brain was bigger than ours, as we'll see in a minute, but their neocortex was presumably smaller, so their cognitive abilities and so on were maybe not as strong as humans. But the other question that is kind of interesting but not very easy to answer is whether increased cognitive ability of the modern humans or any animal comes with other unfortunate byproducts like more aggression and as well depression and so on. And there are some studies which argue that animals which have simpler, even our closest relatives who have a simpler cognitive ability, lower cognitive ability, are not as depressed as us because they make decisions without worrying so much, without having to consider so many things together and so on and so forth. Okay, so in that sense Neanderthals could have disappeared basically by continuously breeding with modern humans because they coexisted. And the example used is that if Australia, which has been colonized by Europeans, is interbreeding with the natives who were there, it's a fairly isolated continent, even though there are of course a lot of travel in and out. Over time, is it possible that Europeans will keep on breeding with the locals and eventually there will be just one genetic pool, and natives as a whole different set of tribe, or they are not separate species because they can interbreed with us, whether they will disappear as a genetic signature and will just leave some genetic signature in the Europeans that are settled there. So extinction of Neanderthals is not necessarily the same as them having completely bred with Sapiens and having become one species. Okay, so anyway, if we go to a couple of 100,000 years ago, anatomically modern humans already were there in Ethiopia, and early humans in the Red Sea coast or of Eritrea were there already as well by 125,000 years ago. So if you go back, we have already gone beyond that before. Mousterian tool industry, Neanderthals, and later by anatomically modern humans is found in the Near East. So anatomically modern humans here refers to what we see as the skeletal structure, head, the spinal cranium, skull connections, bipedalism, relative limb sizes, and so on. Of course, if you remember Floresiensis, who were just 1 meter tall with a very small brain, maybe size of a lemon, but they survived for a long time in the Indonesian region, presumably feeding on the Komodo dragons and so on. So what does the brain size actually mean in terms of survival, and how did the Floresiensis actually get there? They must have had some skills to cross over into the island of Floresis, so Floresiensis, right? I hope I'm not screwing that up. Okay. So Flores is the island. Okay, so 100,000 years ago, modern humans in these sites at Israel, 19,000 to 85,000 years ago. We were already in the last ice age by this time, which started around 130,000 years ago. So modern humans, anatomically modern humans in Border Cave, Clazius River mouth, South Africa. So that's much closer, 115 to 90,000 years ago. We're already in the Pleistocene with the 100,000 year ice age cycles. So late Stone Age by the 60, 70,000 year time scale in Africa, Upper Paleolithic in Europe, Chattelperonian in Neanderthals were found, and then Rugnacian AMHS, okay, anatomically modern humans. So earliest modern human appears in Europe around 41,500 years ago. Last of the Neanderthals in France, evidence suggests they were there as far back as 34,000 years ago. Iberian Peninsula is around 38,400 years ago. Spain, Largo Velo child Neanderthal morphological characteristics found around 24,500 years ago. So the question is, were they different in cognitive abilities, in behaviors? Did they speak a language? Did they communicate with modern humans, or did they just battle modern humans for survival and got wiped out by the modern humans? Obviously there was interbreeding happening, so they were not a separate species in that sense. So if you look at generally the arguments about brain size and cognitive abilities and whether that relates to behavioral aspects of species, here is the different brain sizes with a scale of 1 centimeter shown here. Here is a shrew, little bird, hare, dog, chimpanzee, much bigger obviously, humans, and toothed whale. So obviously, what is the cognitive ability and behavioral aspects of a toothed whale? Brain is much bigger than a human, but the connections of the brain, the layering of the neurons, the plasticity of the brain, the ability to synthesize symbolic language, communication, learning and teaching, and so on, are always raised as special abilities of a brain that is advanced in that sense. But you can still look at the allometric scaling of body weight versus brain weight and various species, and the regression line is there, and then the green line shows you how far you each species gets from the regression line. And the man is here, dusky dolphin is here, almost the same, and they are considered very intelligent, and they are seen to learn things and teach other dolphins how to do it, like they were found to just dance on the water, walk on the water for fun, no utilitarian value, and they were found to teach that to other dolphins, which is considered a sign of intelligence. But there is also the idea of the theory of mind. We can guess what others are thinking about us or what others may be about to do, and so on. Such tests are done on animals, and many animals tend to also have the theory of mind. A Pavlovian bell kind of experiments where the zookeeper can give signals, and gorillas, chimpanzees, various animals learned to guess the what comes next by those cues. And of course we are supposed to also have a secondary theory of mind, which means I can guess what you are thinking about of another person. Okay, so there is those kind of multiple layering as well. So anyway, this is the idea: brain size and cognitive abilities. This is the brain weight, not so much the size. So you can see the various things: sperm whale, blue whale, African elephants are up here. So brain size, brain weight is still higher than man, and of course body weight is much higher as well. So you can see rats are very smart, but they are closer to the regression line here. Body size is small, and brain weight is small as well. Mouse is here, which is also very smart, gets far away from the regression line of all the species, and so on and so forth. So this is not a very solid, robust scientific metric. Nonetheless, looking at more closely at the hominidae, or our existing great apes. You have bonobos, orang, chimpanzee, great apes, gorillas here, and our lineages: Africanus, Ardipithecus, Africanus, Homo habilis here, Australopithecus robustus, Australopithecines here, boisei, so this is Australopithecus africanus, Homo erectus went up in the endocranial brain volume now in terms of centimeter cube versus body weight. So Neanderthals were bigger than Homo sapiens, and their endocranial or brain volume was larger. So again, the question is whether just because they had a bigger brain, were they also cognitively, computationally, synthesis-wise, language-wise, symbolic language-wise, were they as good as us or better than us? That's not always clear. So here we sit as Homo sapiens. So this is the average body weight versus the average brain volume. Obviously the range can be very large in terms of body weight and brain size within sapiens themselves. So when we look at these scales, we look at differences larger than the spread within a particular species. Okay, so the short story is that brain size does correspond to many things, but it isn't entirely clear whether that by itself says something about cognitive abilities, expertise in building tools, communication skills, ability to remember and synthesize information, and so on and so forth. So we will leave this here and look at now whether behavioral aspects actually are related to inheritable genetic imprints, or are there genes associated with behaviors? It's tempting to do that, but obviously it can lead to various problems. For example, it has been misused to say which race has a smaller brain and is stupider, and which race is superior, and so on and so forth. So one has to be very careful about those things.